Well, a good Saturday morning. Thanks for joining us. We kick things off on Saturday like we do every week with Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, and we talk about what's new in tech. Good morning to you, Luis.
Good morning, Mark. How are you today?
Doing well, and yourself?
I'm doing terrific. I'm traveling, conference down in L.A. today, and getting ready for some new tech stuff next week when the thing gets fired up on Monday.
All right. Do we have rain in your location?
Oh, yeah. It was interesting flying out of Monterey yesterday. Let me put it that way.
Okay. So, Luis, we were talking the other day about that WhatsApp app, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the company's name. It's kind of tough, right? So the name of the company is WhatsApp.
The WhatsApp app, which sold for $19 billion.
$19 billion. Google, Facebook swooped in and bought them. And Google had an offer on the table for about $10 billion. And the funny thing is, this is a company of about 30 people that had built this product that wasn't making money, but it had something like 450 million subscribers and growing at 1 million subscribers a day. So their claim to fame was they built a text-like messaging service that worked over Wi-Fi, so people could avoid getting charged for text, but they could use the same sort of technology. And as you know, Gen Yers and Gen Xers are big on texting, and they text more than they email. So this was an application that had a lot of active users, not just people that had signed up and let it sit there. They were actually using this service. So Facebook figured, well, why not add 500 million new users to the family and see how we can monetize that? But $19 billion just kind of goes to show you where we're at in this, acquisition frenzy that technology companies are going through.
It would also seem to me that the other thing going on here, Luis, is that maybe some of these guys, the idea factory has run dry, and they're not coming up with any new applications for their core business, so they just go out and buy somebody's great idea.
It's interesting you should mention that, because there is a school of thought that says that is the case, and there's another school of thought that argues that what these companies are doing is funding these little startups and entrepreneurs as separate entities, right? We're going to invest in you and let you sit out there and create these cool new products rather than hiring you and having you do that internally, because you're going to have more room to grow. And then when you get to the point where your product is something worth using, we're going to just acquire you. So in essence, like developing your own multiple little skunk works out there, each one of them working independently, but you're funding them from the back end.
We're going to see more of this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Apple just announced this week that they've acquired, over the last year, 23 companies. I mean, think about that. And each one of them offers a technology that in some cases they will incorporate into their own offerings, but in others they just basically are buying them to kill them, because it's products that are competing with either work that they're already doing internally or things that they don't want to see come to market because it's a competitive advantage over what they have. A good example of that is Google, who themselves have acquired something like 40 companies over the last year. They acquired a few months ago a company called Nest. And Nest makes two devices, basically. One is a thermostat that you can control remotely. It's a little technology gadget that you use to replace your existing thermostat in the house, and you can access it via the internet by an app, and turn on your thermostat or turn it off. And it's supposedly a learning thermostat that learns your habits and the way that you interact. So it's supposed to save you energy.
Okay.
So, kind of a one-trick pony, if you will, and they just recently came out with a carbon monoxide monitor that does the same thing to replace your existing smoke alarm.
Interesting.
Yeah, but Google acquired them for like $6 billion.
Wow.
The word on the street was that Google was trying to work on the same technology, part of their Google Home initiative, and couldn't perfect it. So they figured, screw that. We're just going to buy somebody that's already done it and incorporate their technology into our offerings.
So now, is this an actual physical device, or is it, does it run off of Wi-Fi, or just like the ones that you buy and you run off batteries?
So what this does is, and I have one at home. It's really easy to install, and that's actually one of the more elegant things about these newer companies is that they're keeping the consumer front and center. So they're making these devices very easy to use and very easy to install. And so this goes into your standard, home HVAC system, and there's power coming on one of those little lines that come into your thermostat that normally the thermostat doesn't use. And so this runs on 110 power, and it has a little battery backup in case the power goes off, but it uses your in-home Wi-Fi, and it walks you through setting it up. There's videos online that you can watch, and it would take somebody who's not very mechanical mechanical or technologically savvy, less than half an hour to set this thing up.
All right.
And then you can just access it. Like right now, I forgot to turn it off before I left the house yesterday. So this morning, one of the first things I did was turn off the thermostat in the house because I'm not going to be there for a few days, so I have it on.
Hey, speaking of Apple, a couple stories I ran across here online this morning. Apple tops Fortune's list of the world's most admired companies for the 7th year in a row.
Mm-hmm.
The Cupertino, California-based company received top marks for innovation, people management, use of corporate assets, i.e. purchasing up all these other companies, quality of products.
Yeah.
Now, Amazon and Google were ranked 2nd and 3rd. Starbucks was number 5, and number 4 was Berkshire Hathaway. Now, what's interesting to me about that is that in that list of companies, of course, Apple's been around for, almost, 35, 40 years, but it's still kind of a relatively new company. Amazon and Google are, less than maybe 15 years old at the most?
Yeah.
Okay. Starbucks isn't really an old company. The only old line, traditional type company in the top 5 is Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show that when it comes to questions of taste, right, who you admire is really more a question of personal taste than anything else.
Right.
It really depends on what you know, and I think the reason Berkshire Hathaway is up on that list is that Warren Buffett is kind of a rock star to young people.
Right.
They like him, and they like his views, and they like his approach to life. And if you ever attend an event that Warren Buffett is featured in, if you look into the audience, you're going to see a lot of young faces because he speaks to them in a lot of ways. He respects people, and he's very consumer friendly.
Right. Interesting thing about Warren Buffett is he's investing in small community newspapers across the country and buying them up. This is contrary to conventional wisdom right now that says stay away from print mediums because no one's reading print anymore and young people are not into print. But I think that it's a really, really savvy strategy because what he notices is that small community newspapers that are like weeklies, like the Monterey County Weekly or the Carmel Pinecone, are extremely successful and well-respected in their community. They're not running into the trouble that the broadsheets, your dailies, 5, 6, 7-day-a-week papers are experiencing. So, he's making a real differentiation in his investment strategy.
Well, and it speaks to the fact that, we all love local, right? We want to get more local news. When you read a mainline paper that produced 7 days a week or 5 days a week in some cases, they're kind of most of the news you've already gotten online someplace.
Mm-hmm.
You've gotten it from CNN or you've gotten it from any number of online sources. But something like Monterey Coast Weekly, when it comes out, the information in there is new. It's not something you're going to read anywhere else. So it's a fun paper to grab and read. So it's a smart strategy to buy up these little things because if you consider the fact that they make their money with advertising, they're still doing a pretty booming business in that regard.
That's true. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for our Saturday edition with Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, and they are alvareztg.com on the web. And by the way, Luis, congratulations on the Small Business of the Year award that you and the Alvarez Technology Group received on Thursday at the Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce's annual awards luncheon.
Thank you very much. It was a big honor for us. We receive a lot of commendations and awards from our industry, but being recognized in the local community as a Small Business of the Year is a really important and humbling experience in our staff and our team. We're really proud of that accomplishment.
And if we want to reach the Alvarez Technology Group, Luis, what is the toll-free number for the I-Team?
Give us a call at 866-78-I-TEAM. That's 866-784-8326.
Thanks, Luis. Have a great weekend.
You too, my friend.